So I've heard about a sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife for a while now, but information on the project has been scarce. I was honestly starting to question whether or not this movie actually existed. And then the trailer dropped, and I have to be honest, it's not quite what I expected, and that might be a good thing. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So I'm on the record as saying I enjoyed Ghostbusters Afterlife for what it was. I appreciated the way that it properly paid respect to the past while building for the future, which is of course a lost art form in modern Hollywood. On the flip side of that, I very much felt like it was a one-time watch movie for me, especially because I just had little to no desire to ever revisit it. So when I heard that there was going to be another sequel, I have to be honest, I was a bit skeptical.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I was also curious as to what the direction of the film might be. I think there was a rumor that Winston would kind of be godfathering the new team in the new film, and as much as I hate the whole passing of the torch trend in modern films, I do believe that if it's done right, it can still be effective. Much to my surprise, the whole gang seems to be back for this sequel. And I'm not just talking about the kids, the parents, and Winston. It appears that both Venkman and Ray are back as well.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
The question is, does this film run the risk of being too bloated with characters? Maybe. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't think it was cool to see them all on screen once again. I mean, it's the OG Ghostbusters. These guys meant so much to a lot of us throughout our lives. The other part to this is that I do feel like their reunion in Afterlife was handled pretty perfectly, and I do feel like it could have been a great send-off for these characters if they just left it at that. But I am willing to give Frozen Empire a chance to see how they use these legacy characters. If it ends up being nothing more than yet another glorified cameo, then I might start asking myself what's the point. Because I already feel like we got closure with these characters. So I don't want them to be used as a gimmick that will ultimately take away from their legacy. It's a very real concern when you consider modern Hollywood's track record. As for the overall premise of the film, it feels like a feature-length Real Ghostbusters episode, and I appreciated that. It just has this kind of villain of the week feel to it, which I actually feel like works pretty well for a franchise like Ghostbusters. I understand why they used Zool again in Afterlife. They needed that hook, and they wanted to bring things full circle. But now with this movie, it feels like they have a bit more freedom to try new things.
That makes sense.
New York City basically freezes over instantly, day after tomorrow style. And there seems to be some kind of supernatural ice giant behind it. For sure, all of this I think is going to offer some opportunity for some pretty decent visuals. Patton Oswalt also plays an unknown new character who narrates the trailer. Now I can't say that I'm a huge Patton Oswalt fan, and in the trailer he has a very clunky exposition-y type line that either through the writing or through his delivery just came off as very strange to me.
No, don't like that.
For the first time in New York history, people froze to death in the middle of July. It's like, yeah, I think we could have deciphered that from watching the trailer. Paul Rudd and the mother character are back also, and apparently they are members of the Ghostbusters team. It will be kind of interesting to see how the adult and kid team member dynamic plays out. Overall, I have to be honest, I wasn't necessarily blown away by this trailer, but I am at least somewhat curious to see how all of this plays out.
You have my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
I think the biggest hurdle that this film has is how they handle that newfound freedom that I talked about. Just from the trailer, it seems like this movie won't be as reliant on nostalgia as Afterlife was. And it feels like they're definitely trying to forge their own path, and I can respect that. They should also take caution when trying to forge their own path, because sometimes that type of thinking takes franchises down a dark path.
He's out of line, but he's right.
I think the best possible route for them is for the filmmakers to realize that the OG cast is irreplaceable. But that doesn't mean that you can't turn the new cast into something special as well. And to me, your opportunity to do that starts with this movie right here. I think they did enough with these characters in Afterlife to make people at least somewhat open to the idea of them taking over permanently. Let's be honest, these characters are much more worthy of a second go-round than the 2016 Ghostbusters cast was.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
So I could say that I'm cautiously optimistic about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and it'll definitely be interesting to see how this movie takes shape the more information we get about it.
Y'all be cool. Right on.